Hey, what's going on? Nick Unsworth here, and I'm a kick-ass business coach, and I'm on an absolute mission to help you find your purpose in life, to help you love what you do for work every single day, to help you be the rock star that you are meant to be, to make more money than you ever thought was possible, and to have more time freedom so you can actually enjoy the life that you're living. I'm here to help you set your life on fire. Hey, what's going on? Nick Unsworth with Life on Fire. I'm here with my man, Cole Hatter, who's a repeat on Life on Fire TV, so great to have you back.
Boom, thanks for having me again.
Boom. And man, I don't even know where to start with introducing you. I mean, I just would have to say that Cole is, out of everyone that I know, you're in like the top 3 people that I know who's living a life on fire to the fullest. And
right
so, and it is. I mean, the way I look at it is, it's like Life on Fire is about, you know, it's about having fun. It's about making a great living. Most importantly, you know, making a living and helping other people and giving back, but having family, spirituality, love, I mean, all that. So you've got it all in there. So I want you to share and break down some of how you got that. But before we dive into the nitty gritty, just give us a little overview of just some of your background work experience. Then I want to dive into some of your current projects.
Well, first of all, let me say honored and thank you. Top three.
It's
coming from the dude that owns the Life on Fire brand.
That's a big...
Yeah, I mean, anyone can say it, but from you, I guess it means something.
There's going to be people out there. I mean, John Dumas is going to be... He's going to be upset.
Yeah, well, right on. We'll have to handle that conversation between the three of us. But so background on work and history, was a firefighter. God put it on my heart about junior high to want to be a firefighter and help people. I wanted to do work where there was a measurable difference in what I did. I could see the impact. And I didn't see that happening in corporate America or whatever. And so graduated high school, pursued firefighting, was living my dream, got in a car accident that ended that dream. I was in a wheelchair for a while, and you know, thank God as of today I'm totally healthy. But
do you have any good wheelchair stories?
No good
because
wheelchair stories.
I've got one good one.
All right, hit us.
So in a wheelchair, blew my knee out. Have you ever seen the hill down the end of this on Riviera? So it goes all the way down to the bay?
Yes.
All right, so at the top of the hill, there's a lip of like this much cement to go down the hill, and there's a big gate, so you can't just, no cars can go down there.
Right.
Bikes, people would be crazy to go down on a bike. I'm at the top of it on the wheelchair, and I think I better speed up fast enough to get over the lip so that I can get actually going down.
I can already
and I
see
figured
this.
I just, you know, there's little brakes on there, and
Just
so
lean back.
fortunately, I hit it so hard that my leg had the brace on it, so my leg served as a catapult. And then I
like
launched,
a pole vault.
yeah, pole vault, because my foot planted, and then I flew forward, and the chair flipped over my back, and then the chair went tumbling all the way down the freaking ramp.
Oh my God, I wish I would have seen that. So
Oh, it's good. Yeah, you know, and that was 2 days after surgery. So anyway, wheelchair stories. But so what was that experience like? So you've got a couple crazy things that have happened in your past. So getting into the wheelchair, so I mean, what happened with that experience, and what led to that, and how did you go from there?
Yeah, so rollover car accident where I was ejected. I had to get flown to the hospital in a helicopter because I was not doing well. I obviously survived, but for a little bit of time after the accident was in a wheelchair, then eventually got to crutches, a cane, and then today I'm walking, I'm healthy, everything's good.
So in the accident though, like, so you got ejected from the car? Like out of the window, or?
Yeah, so my best friend, like a brother to me, someone I grew up with, Steve, he was driving. Our mutual best friend, Matt, was in the passenger seat, and I was in the back seat of a Toyota 4Runner, all jacked up, lifted on huge tires, and it rolled. And I actually, since I was in the back seat, I was wearing a seatbelt, but seatbelts stop you from going forward. There's nothing to really stop you from going backward other than the seat itself, and we hit with such an impact that the seat snapped flat. So I shot out the back, you know, like where you open to put your luggage and stuff. And in the junkyard, in the pictures, you see that my seatbelt is still buckled, but the seat, you know, it's not shaped like a seat anymore. It's lying flat, and I was ejected out the rear as it was flipping, and so.
So that experience, I mean, would most people consider that, you know, that you got a second lease on life from that? I mean,
totally.
what was your experience having gone through that? I mean, were you thinking that it was a miracle, or what? How did you feel from it?
So, you know, trying to keep a very long story brief, I was very, very hurt in the hospital. And the surgeon that worked on me, my only memory, I don't remember driving, I don't even remember planning the trip. My only memory of the entire hospital visit is two-part. But the second part of that is, as I was making my way back to my hospital room, the ER surgeon that actually worked on me when I had arrived just happened to be there, and he kneeled down and he said, "Hey, I want you to know I'm the surgeon. You know, this is a trauma center. I see the worst things that happen come into this part of the hospital.
Yeah.
And in the 5.5 years I've worked here in this trauma center, you guys are the worst I've ever seen. And there's no reason I can explain why you survived." He's like, as I'm working on you, my team and I were baffled. And then he pointed up and he said, "Someone up there must have a plan for you." And that's the last thing I remembered. But, you know, so to have a second lease on life, definitely when you have an ER surgeon say, "We can't figure out why you survived." And then the first part of that memory is that I survived, Matt survived, but Steve didn't, the driver. And like I said, he was like a brother to me. Although we didn't share DNA, we're as close as any brothers I'd ever met. And so, yeah, that was a shaking experience to have barely escaped death and then have the grief of losing Steve, but then the guilt of surviving. So it spun everything upside down for me, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just crazy to drill down on that, because it's those kind of defining moments in your life that helps you to realize that you're here for a real purpose. You know, and I think with Life on Fire, I'm always trying to you know, let my clients know, or our audience know, that just, I mean, everyone's life has a story where there's always a clue that they're, you know, that you're here for a real purpose and reason. In your case, it's one of those super obvious, like, I mean, it was a miracle that you lived through that. And so did you have any other miracle experiences?
Yeah, so Matt and I survived that car accident. Steve didn't. Matt and I are crushed because we were like a three-way, the three amigo best friend trifecta. Matt and I obviously got extremely close because we were already best friends, but then experiencing that together, we were super bonded and having gone through tragedy. 2 months later, I had just gotten onto crutches out of a wheelchair. I was moving around pretty well on crutches. So Matt suggested, because I was super depressed, that we go out into the desert and ride our dirt bikes. Although I couldn't walk, sitting on a bike and being very careful made sense. And as he and I and our friend Scott were out in a desert of Southern California riding our bikes, Matt and I fell into a mine shaft. It was an abandoned mine shaft. Someone dug out all the silver, never put up a fence, a sign, or anything. We fell in. On my way in, I was able to grab a bush that was about this big. Should have never held my weight, and I'm literally hanging with one arm and my legs just dangling in the blackness. I was able to get myself to my armpits, and then Scott, who was there, grabbed me and pulled me the rest of the way out. Called 911. It took 7 hours, but 7 hours later they got to the bottom and found that Matt had fallen all the way to the bottom and that he didn't survive. And it was 780 feet deep. So fell for 780 feet into the earth. And if I would have been about 4 more inches to the right, I wouldn't have been able to reach the bush either. And so I lost my brother. I lost Steve on September 10th. I lost Matt on November 14th, 64 days later. And so 2 accidents, 2 best friends, 2 months apart, in accidents that both should have killed me. So it put me into a really bad spot.
That's wild.
I was still on heavy pain meds from my car accident. And I started taking my medicine just like I'm supposed to, started drinking alcohol with it to knock myself out because I just didn't know how to process what I was going through.
So, I mean, you know, you and I have become good friends, and I had heard, I think, maybe just a fast summary of that, because we didn't really touch on it in the last episode that we did together, but what's wild, and thank you for sharing that. I mean, that's absolutely incredible to have that kind of loss in such a short period of time. So, I mean, that's just, it's wild, and I think for you to have come out the other end of that, it's so awesome to see what you've done with your life amidst those challenges. So what would you say are some of the contributing factors that pulled you out of just the mourning the losses of 2 brothers, basically?
Yeah, number one was I was born and raised in the church, and the church family laid heavy on me. They just started showing up and bringing me food, and I was like I was like, just go away. But I finally collapsed, and I just got super involved with the youth group. I was 21. And so the high school kids that were only 4 to 6 years younger than me, I started kind of being a youth leader, volunteer there while I was recovering from all of that. And I found that the more I invested in those kids, the more I gave back to them, the more healing I got. I told them all the time, they were so thankful. And I was like, dude, you guys do more for me than I do for you. So that was a huge part of it. And another part was that when I lost Steve and Matt, They didn't die for freedom, for war, for any cause. It was 2 stupid accidents that should have never happened. The car accident was someone being careless, and the mine shaft was another company being careless, and so I felt robbed and ripped off. And I said the only way that I can process this grief is to make them not have died for nothing.
Yeah.
And that they were stolen from me, I couldn't accept. So I decided that I would use what time I had left, because at 21, we all 3 thought we'd have forever, and they were both gone. And so I said, well, you know, assuming I still have some time, right, I've got today, I'm going to make the most I can with the time I have to honor them. I'm going to tell their story, and I'm going to push myself farther and do more with my life than I ever dreamed I could, to make the most of my life I could, so that when I get to see them again, and when I'm face to face with my Creator, I can point back at my life and I could say, I used every gift, every opportunity, every ability, everything you gave me, I left it all down there, and I left nothing behind for you. And so that realization that I had to do something with my life to justify theirs being stolen, as well as just being super, super involved with my church for that next following year or 2. And I'm still involved with my church, but I mean, I was there like 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Those 2 things are what saved me from what began as, you know, taking my pain pills still from, so I was on heavy narcotic painkillers from the car accident, and I would drink straight hard alcohol to just knock myself out, because I was so depressed I didn't want to be awake. And so what took me from there to the beginning of where I am now was just that realization that I still have some time, so I got to make it count.
And it's, to me, what I'm pulling out of all this is basically you identified and gave meaning to your life. You essentially identified what your purpose is.
Yeah.
And so a lot of what what I stand for, and just like the Life on Fire values, is helping people find their purpose and then prospering from it. So if we were to say that, the first part, because of the circumstances, and then the attitude that you had of having a new second and third lease on life, and then to take your gifts and to just fully get to the peak of your potential and help other people. So let's just say if that's finding your potential or your purpose, then I want to dive into how you're prospering. You're taking your purpose and you're prospering with purpose. And it's kind of like what we talked about before of Adam Braun, of having a for-purpose business.
Yep.
I know you've got an incredibly awesome background and just in real estate as a speaker, but I'd like you to actually just for time, just catch us up to what your vision is now and how you're leveraging events. And just, I want you to just paint the picture of what you're doing, because I think it's so big that what is inspiring is that you are literally just taking a dream in your head and you have a desire to help people, and you're going so big with this event. I think it's gonna be so cool for someone, for you watching. Look, as you hear and watch Cole explain this is a dream, just like we all have dreams. That he's taking the dream in his head, in his heart, and he's like, I'm doing that. Nothing's gonna stop me. So I'd love for you to just paint the picture of how you're gonna prosper with purpose with this vision.
I'm gonna touch on what you said a minute ago as far as prospering from purpose. And so many people think they're separate. People say so often, okay, I need to be a multi-millionaire. I need to sell a company for $200 million so I have enough money to ball hard the rest of my life.
Then I'll have fun.
Then I'll have the time. Well, then I'll have fun, but then I'll also have the time to go volunteer somewhere or give to charity. And I mean, maybe that's an extreme example, but a lot of people assume that you've got to be successful before you can live a life of significance. And what I am just championing right now, and what I am just shouting out to the world for those that will listen, is that it's not one or the other, it's both at the same time. And so it's a matter of taking a business that's even in an industry that has nothing to do with purpose. You can be in a clothing company like Dale Partridge with Sevenly, and take your product of whatever it is you sell, shirts, pants, hats, and build into the price a charitable or a giving aspect to that. And so if you're not familiar with that brand or any like it, because it's not the only one out there, if I want to sell t-shirts and my hard cost is $10, so I want to sell it for $20 to double my profits, I'd sell it for $25, and for every shirt you buy, $5 goes to charity. So at the end of the day, I'm still netting the revenues I would have. I'm just, in a way, being purposeful. So there's nothing significant, nothing special about selling t-shirts, but I can leverage t-shirts in a way that, while making myself rich, assuming your brand takes off and does well, I'm also making a significant impact. And so what I've done in all areas of my business, real estate and just investing of all types, there's nothing sexy about that. It's not like I started a nonprofit. I'm just in a for-profit business, but I don't run it for profit, I run it for purpose. And not even at the expense of margins, you build in your business model a way of having some charitable aspect. I have a friend that owns a company, and I tell the story a lot. he keeps all of his profits for himself. He gives none away. But what he does is the people that he employs are all veterans. These are men and women who fought for our freedom. The only reason we get to have conversations like this is because of our military sacrificing. And some of them come home from war with PTSD and have a hard time keeping a job. So he only employs them to give them opportunities. So his company, although he keeps his profits, all of them, and it's in an industry that is not a purposeful industry, he's employing men and women that deserve that type of opportunity because they've sacrificed and died for us, right? So, I mean, obviously some have died for us.
The cool thing is that it's like literally any business can do this because you don't have to be building an orphanage. It's like no matter what your business is, you can build in giving back. And what I love is that along those lines and those examples, it's like Tom's shoes, right? You buy a pair of shoes, they give a pair of shoes away.
He's iconic in this. He created the wave that many people are following.
And what I love is that, think of a shoe company like Tom's Shoes being introduced without that component. It's like you're one of thousands of shoe
That's where I was going next.
companies versus why not make one that matters? And I think that's part of, to me, what a life on fire is. If you can love what you do for work and it helps people and it has a real purpose, you're enjoying the journey along the way and you're making an actual difference. Like that's the feeling of significance and fulfillment and helping people. It's like that's what keeps you in inspired action. It's not just the car. You know, once you get the car, you're like, oh, it's not, I mean, I love it, but it's not like making you happy.
You're coming up to something we stumbled across this morning. My team and I were brainstorming, and we stumbled across something that you're kind of describing now. Yeah. Everyone always says money can't buy happiness, but now we argue it can. It's the money that you're making from your business that you're using in a purposeful way, you can make your money matter. And that's what we're all about right now. And so they always say money can't buy happiness. True, but it depends on what you're buying with your money or what you're exchanging your money for. And if you're exchanging it in a meaningful way, like Tom's Shoes, for instance, when Blake designed that company, he is now, I mean, gosh, I heard, and I'd have to verify this, that he sold half the company for like $500 million. So the guy is set. But at the same time, outside of the hundreds of millions he now gets to have, he has hundreds of thousands or maybe even millions of people who now have shoes who otherwise wouldn't. And so I guarantee you, if we had a chance to sit down and talk to Blake, the founder of Tom's, he would say that the most meaningful part is not the helicopter and the jets he gets to buy with the 500. It's the endless amounts of stories and pictures of people that are enjoying his shoes. And so essentially, he was able to use money to buy his happiness. And so that's what this is. But you nailed it earlier. It's noisy out there. I don't care what your invention is, what your product is, what your service is. You have a competitor that will tell the world they're better than you. And your competitor will wake up every single morning with one intention, to kick your butt. So what I tell people is one way to immediately distinguish yourself in the marketplace is have a charitable aspect. There's a million t-shirt companies. So why did Seven Lee even do well? Well, because they gave $7 of every product away. It was a way to uniquely brand themselves in a noisy, competitive environment. And at the end of the day, not only are they getting larger market share than they would have, when they balance their ledgers, they see that, oh, we made great, record-breaking quarter, but at the same time, there are literally millions of dollars that have been allocated towards those that need it. And that's buying your happiness, literally writing checks, not for cars, but I mean, I know that, and I'm super proud of you this last year, raising, you talked about Adam Braun and Pencils of Promise, you got to build a school. And you freaking broke your back to put that summit together. I know, because we know each other personally. Man, I saw the hours, and you were sitting on my couch at my house talking about the risk that you put into that and all of that. Yet at the end of the day, guess what? You bought your happiness because you were able to write a check to a Pencils of Promise, and now there's a school being built in Guatemala for kids that otherwise would have never had education.
I just got I got some pictures of the school that they're going to knock down and build a new one, and I will never forget the experience of being in Guatemala, and I was on the trip, and there was a guy who had built 3 schools, this guy, Eric, and you don't normally get to see the school that you build just because it's hard to coordinate, like, okay, you're going to see your school, you're going to see your school.
Yeah, sure.
So there's not that expectation, but we pulled up, we're supposed to be going to dinner, all of a sudden we pull up, and he goes, where are we? And they go, oh, you'll see. We walk up, and he sees the plaque on the school that is of his late uncle, who the school is in memory of his uncle, and he just started bawling. And to see the gratitude from the principal and the little kids, and they circled up around them, and they're like, they just basically explained that he's the one that paid for this school, and they were in tears, and they were thanking him and looking up, and it's like, I will never forget the emotions that he had, And it was like, man, it's like, that's so cool. Like, I love
Totally.
the fact that I'm working my butt off for this, and I can't wait to have my school and honor my grandfather and, you know, all that stuff. And it's just so cool.
Let me ask you this. When everyone was crying, were they crying because they were sad or happy?
Oh, happy, yeah.
So,
yeah.
therefore, he was able to use money to buy his happiness.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's kind of like contrary, you know, because we always say you can't buy your happiness. Well, you can't buy stuff to buy your happiness, but you can take your money and exchange it for happiness.
That's such a good point, because people, you're right. Everyone assumes that you can't buy happiness, but yeah, you're right. They're only referring to physical material stuff.
Yeah, I have a beautiful house, cars that you love, right?
I can't wait to get a Viper. We're gonna be Viper brothers.
Yeah, well, let's do it, right? I'm sorry I didn't bring it today, but
I was hoping.
The point is that here's the actionable steps, right? For your audience that are like, okay, you know, the theory sounds good. Here's what you need to do. If you're in a startup situation, or if you're even in an existing business model, who cares what your product is? I don't care if you sell sand. We're staring at a beautiful beach right now. I don't care if you sell sand. There's a way to encompass a charitable aspect to your business, and it doesn't even take a lot of creative thought, whether it be who you employ or what you're doing with your margins, right? And here's the other argument, right? Because there's a lot of people that take their product and just add to the price, like Tom's did with his shoes. He did not need to sell his shoes for that much. He built in the price of giving a pair away.
Yeah.
So even if it doesn't work in your business model, I was talking to an appraiser about this conversation. The appraisal fee's flat. He has no fluctuation in that. And I challenged him to say, okay, let's just say you give 10% away. Guess what? You are now losing 10% of your net revenues. But do you think in your next 10 clients, you'll maybe pick up one more because of all the appraisers in your city? You're the only one with a charitable aspect. Therefore, you've increased business by 10%.
Differentiated, yeah.
And you've recaptured what you've lost. So for those of you that are like, okay, this sounds good, what do I do? Look at your business model, and if there's a way to build into your costs, your services, your product, a charitable aspect, do it. And if not, if you're in some type of a structured thing like the appraiser where the banks dictate what you're getting paid, etc., I challenge you to give 10% away, buy your happiness with that, and then by marketing and branding yourself and distinguishing yourself in the marketplace, I would be surprised if you didn't increase your clientele or market share by at least the 10% that you gave away to end up with as much or more money. Yet at the end of the year, maybe you got a nice car, maybe you got a nice house, but you also built a school or you also did something else, therefore buying your house.
It's win, win, win. And you know what's interesting? I'd love to get your feedback on this. I was talking on a similar topic in the Philippines, and a guy stood up and he said, he asked, why do you feel the need to like speak so publicly about all this? Like, because he believes in giving privately and all that. But I mean, I described it as this is a different context. This is making it part of the mission of my business.
Yeah.
And I want to scream that from the rooftops, you know? So how would you look at people that say, oh, well, you're just doing this just for personal financial gain in the business? And, kind of like there's always going to be the skeptic people, like what if there's a devil's advocate out there? Like, how would you look at that?
It's easy. Well, there's always going to be haters. There's always going to be the cynic types out there that their cup's not half full, half empty, the cup's dirty and they don't even want it, right? And that person can't be pleased no matter what. But to someone who's concerned of hearing those types of conversations, here's what I would say. The business, because I'm the same way, my wife and I privately give. And then in my businesses, a lot of the branding is public about what we do. That giving, when it comes to the messaging behind it, is a marketing strategy for your business. And I don't care what anyone says. If someone's going to challenge you and say, oh, you have Pay It Forward Fridays and you give this stuff, you're just doing it for publicity. Yes, I am. But what's the result? People's lives are being impacted.
Yeah.
However,
what's the downside?
Privately, and that's why, because so many people talk smack on that type of a concept, like, oh, you're only giving to be seen. Exactly. I'm setting the example, right? I mean, look at in like the rap industry, right? I don't know why that popped in my head, but they wear chains and they're publicly displaying what in that culture represents, what they stand for and what's important and the image that they're trying to create. Well, the image of having a for-purpose business is publicly giving. But at the same time, I would encourage those people to privately give and keep that personal. So there's two ways of doing this. Is when someone says, oh, you only give to be seen, okay, but what's the result? Oh, there's a school in Guatemala now. Kids are learning in. Oh, and this homeless person got lunch, and I videotaped it to encourage others to do the same exact thing. However, off camera, privately, I do things that I'll never talk about publicly because between me, my wife, and God. And I do more privately than I do publicly always. So when it comes to my businesses being for purpose and the public charitable aspect of them. It is on purpose. It is a marketing strategy to generate more clientele. And at the end of the day, how are you going to knock me for giving money away for a charitable cause? And the people out there that say, oh, you're just doing it for publicity, or you're only doing it for this or that, you know what, screw you. What are you, this is what I would say to that person. I'd rather change the world the way that I am instead of the way that you're not, period.
Right. Yeah,
I got no sympathy for people like that.
And that's what I should have said from stage when.
Yeah, I mean, look, so remember that. I would rather change the world that I am than the way that you're not, right? It's so easy to be a cynic sitting on the side. So, but what I would say though, I got a little heated. What I would say though is, outside of what your business model is, I would encourage you to privately impact lives that is just between you and significant others, God, if you believe in God or whatever. And I would guess if we had Blake off camera, we'd say, hey, dude, is the only charity you do in your life giving 1 for 1, right? Every time someone buys a shoe, someone gets a shoes. I would challenge the world to probably believe that quietly Blake, the founder of Tom's, with his $500 million check he just got, is without promotion, making it a huge part of his life to make his money matter in that way as well. So that's it. There's 2 ways of giving. There's your business model, but then there's what you choose to do privately as well.
And, last thing on this topic before I want to turn into just like some of like what you're doing marketing wise in the events and stuff. Suzanne Evans, who we both know, speaking at my event and your upcoming event, and so I got coaching from her when I got started with Life on Fire, and I will never forget where she was. I just will never forget it. I remember her just like yelling, not yelling in a good way, but we were in like a lunch. She had the guys that own Life is Good, the brand, and we're talking about giving. We're talking about like for-purpose businesses, and she's just like, you have to effing make profits in your business. Because if you're, this spiritual woo-woo type of, because there's a lot of people that are in personal development that they're building a business and they don't believe in like making money. They just want to help people and this and that. And she was like, you have to make profit. It is your responsibility to be a smart, entrepreneur, business person, make profit so that you can give more. And her whole cut on it was, build up the profits so that you can give. In her way, it's more like personally giving versus publicly. But I think that this has been great because we totally, you really shed a lot of light on just what you're doing and then how you can make your money matter. So I'd love for you to paint a picture of just the vision you have. So you've got purpose. You've had crazy life experiences. You're building a business that gives back along the way. And how are you taking this to the next level of the event? So I'd love for you to just paint the picture of what this is going to do. And then I want to share with you guys just how you can be a part of it with us.
So Thrive specifically?
Yeah.
So I'm so impassioned by this that I've wanted to do my own event for years now. As you know, part of what I do professionally is I speak. Excited to speak with you in like 10 days from now. Excited. So whether it be for friends or paid, professional gigs somewhere around the world, one of the things I do right now is I do speak professionally, and I've loved it. And getting to volunteer at events like yours, I've been jealous. I was like, man, I want to do this. And I've never had the motivation because my businesses have been profitable enough and take enough of my attention that there wasn't a need financially or time to focus on an event. But I finally found the motivation I wanted, and I said, let's do a for-purpose event. And so a mutual friend of ours, Wes, he's a founder of a nonprofit called the Human Project, which I'm on the advisory board for. And that advisory board's pretty well connected. Myself, Wes, and then the other people who are in our role as being advisors to that nonprofit. With each of us, we're either directly connected to or one person removed from everybody, pretty much. And so in an afternoon conversation, I was like, well, I know this person. He's like, I know this person. And well, I know this person who's the producer for this person. And so we just started sending out text messages, emails, and saying, hey, if we decided to do an event where we, I put all the money in personally, after I've recuperated all the money I've put in, all then the profits, 100% goes to charity. What would you guys say? And they immediately said, I'm in. When's the date? Where are we going? I'm in. So without even trying, without even having a name of the event, and without even really knowing if we were even committed to doing it, we were just testing the waters. By having a for-purpose event like that with that type of goal, people were immediately saying, I'm coming. And so we're like, okay, all right, well, let's leverage the few names that we've got and then see if, the people who are one person removed, not someone I can just text, but I need an introduction if they'd come. And then that person said yes as well. And so all of a sudden we had this huge speaker lineup and said, let's run with this.
Now we have an event.
Yeah, now we have an event. So then it was a matter of, continuing to tackle speakers, to name the event, to pick a date, to pick a venue, pick a location. And holy cow, event planning's insane. As you know, you're 10 days away from yours right now. And so it is literally a 7-day-a-week job right now, but it's not work because I know that at the end of the day, I will have, one, been able to write a huge check to a nonprofit, but then two, be able to teach the audience actual actionable steps around what we're talking about right now. Not just theorizing and not just making the argument, but showing people how to do this.
So a couple things in there, I think what's awesome. So anyone that is interested in putting on an event, basically what you did was you started with the for-purpose idea, right? So once you had the for-purpose idea, just by the nature of it being attached to a nonprofit, you instantly already even had some context because of the nonprofit.
Yeah.
Right. So if you like the idea of doing a live event, if you've got something experience or something you'd like to share, I mean, think of what you've done here is you've attached with a nonprofit that you believe in what they're doing. And from that, like, you know, I love the fact that you got one key speaker first. So I think of that as like the anchor. It's like the Walmart in the strip mall. He got Gary Vaynerchuk. As soon as you had Gary, you've just been making calls and you've gotten a full set list. I mean, you even have Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank. I mean, it's like you get it started with the for purpose, then you got the keynote, the main speaker, Gary Vaynerchuk, and then since then it's like dominoes. And so who are a couple of the other big names that you've got?
So another mutual friend of ours, Lewis Howes. We have Keith Ferrazzi, Tucker Max, Dan Martell. Oh man, who else is coming out right now? Obviously Suzanne Evans, who we're both mutual friends with now as well, who's coming out to your event, so that'll be cool. Adam Braun, founder of Pencils of Promise. Yeah, he's huge. He's coming out. Prince E, who's a spoken word artist, he's coming. I mean, the list goes on. I'd have to look at it. There's 15 and now on the top of my head. Obviously, you said Gary Vaynerchuk. And then we've got a yes from Robert Herjavec. We're still working out the contract details, so maybe it's a little premature.
Okay.
But by the time this airs,
out of the bag.
Yeah, well, but by the time this airs, I'm sure that will be worked out. And you know, it wasn't easy to get him to come either, but because I mean, he's Robert Herjavec. He's worth hundreds of millions. He's on Shark Tank. He's all over the world. But again, because this event was unique in the message of what we're teaching and then what we're doing with all the revenues, it sounded like we didn't get a chance to talk to him live, but his people have told us that was the thing that put him over the fence was not just is the profit or are the profits going for a purpose, but that's what we're teaching the audience to do. He wanted to be a part of. So assuming that all that works out, maybe it is premature. Heaven forbid now karma this unfolds, but Robert should be there as well. And I mean, that was like 7 or 8. We have 15. So I apologize to the speakers whose names I forgot to throw out there. Oh, James Altucher. There's just, I mean, you basically go to business iTunes, look at the top 20, like 2/3 of them are going to be there. And so it's going to
I mean, so it's like for purpose, get one anchor speaker. Now you've got an incredible set list. So now with a list of speakers to that level, what's cool is, you know, you're not coming into this with like a database of like 200,000 people on your email.
I have no database personally.
So while you have incredible business acumen and you've got experience speaking and you're just a talented dude, you've got a vision of what you want to do, but the how, and this is where most entrepreneurs get stuck, is like, wow, how am I going to actually put it on? You went from vision, purpose, you know, attach with the nonprofit, get the speaker, and the how is now evolving. So it's like, so how are you going to fill up the audience from there?
Let's hope this works. So as of recording this, we're a few days away from our launch, but it's the same message. So yeah, just to build credibility at the moment of recording this, I think my email list is like 500 people because I'm not an info marketer. I'm not a blogger. I suck at social media. So in all of my businesses, I've never needed people, right?
Yeah.
I've made money the old-fashioned way, I guess you will, where it hasn't needed a social presence, and now I'm paying dearly for that with events like this of having no social influence. But back to the speaker lineup and the purpose of the event, the reason that our speakers have said yes, some major publications are very excited about it as well to talk about it. We've got features coming out in Entrepreneur, some in Forbes, some big organizations like YEC.
Which would never happen without the purpose piece,
Totally.
which is just another component.
So,
if it was just you know, you selling a real estate course or me selling a Facebook course, you know what I mean? Like it would never flow that way.
It is definitely a domino effect, but it started with the relationships, because even with the purpose, you know, these people, if I didn't have some way of getting a hold of them, might not, but it's just been a domino where we've we've tiptoed our way up to where now we're going to major things like Huffington Post and these big publications and saying, we've got this going on, and you'd be missing out not to talk about it. Like, do you see our speaker lineup? And do you see our venue? And do you see what we're doing? And they're like, how did you... What's really funny is for about a month long, people thought it was fake. People thought our event was fake because no one knew who I was. And to see this lineup of speakers, there's no way a first-year event with someone who none of us know have gotten all these people together. So I had to go shoot promo videos with me and them with my arms around them like, hey, it's me and Nick. He really is coming and speaking. He's really doing this. And we really did, you're showing pics of it right now. We really did show ourselves with all these people. Yeah, there's one. There's Lewis Howes wearing our Thrive shirt.
It's real.
So we literally had to do like this whole credibility act.
Awesome.
And now that people know that the event's really happening, they're saying I'm in. And so, we have yet to say, we might do a follow-up episode where I say I lost 500,000, nobody bought a ticket, But the biggest thing is just stepping out in faith, that I've seen God open a lot of doors. And just for the yeses we've gotten, and the team of people that are sacrificing days of their lives, weeks straight of building this with me, it's been too good of a thing and has too good of a reason to succeed. I don't see it failing. It might not happen the way we think it will, at the prices we think they will, but I mean, we've priced our event cheap for comparing events. When you look at the events out there that have speaker lineups even remotely close to what we've got, which I haven't seen one, they're 2 or even 3 times more than what we're charging.
And yours is not, people think of a lineup like this and they assume there's going to be a lot of selling, and that's not even...
Within the contract of our speakers, they're not allowed to sell anything. So anyone who's on the fence, should I go to this or not? I don't know. No, so as part of this event, it is its own fulfillment. So although I speak at a lot of events where there is a sales of some coaching or aspect, which is obviously equally helpful or important, at this particular event, there will be nothing for sale. It's the speakers are coming, and literally they've signed a contract saying they won't sell anything, that they'll just create, whether they're a 20-minute or a 60-minute keynote, they're just going to create content. The audience will clap for them, and the next is up.
So before we wrap up, so how would you, 2 things. One is describe the nonprofit that you hooked up with, and so the why you chose that nonprofit. And then 2 would be, what would you say is, for you to join me, I'll be at the event as a sponsor, supporting Cole. This event's going to totally kick butt. There's going to be amazing people there. When you have that level of unique speakers, you're going to attract amazing people. So for networking, for learning, it's not going to be a pitch fest. It's going to be amazing. And if anyone can pull it off, it's this guy.
We have 30,000 square feet of ballroom designed just for networking. So we have a total of 51,000.
We're actually all going to be in hovercrafts.
Yeah.
And
no, but I tried to negotiate with Mandalay Bay to get a, what's that thing with the 2 wheels that you lean on? Yeah, Segway. I tried to negotiate for me to get my own Segway. They said no. But I tried. But so literally out of the 51,000 square feet, 30 of it, which if you don't know how big that is, it's like 13 basketball courts. This room's going to be huge. 30,000 square feet will be designed as a networking hall or a networking, lounge, where it's specific and conducive to doing that. So yeah, it's going to be a great place to meet people, not just learn a ton, but meet people that you might go into business.
So what would you say, what would be the outcome just from a learning experience? Like what would be the ultimo benefit?
Well, so the event is Thrive, Make Money Matter. And we're going to teach people to make money by bringing in people like Gary Vee, people like Robert Herjavec, people who are making millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, and talk about how they did it. How to protect money, which I'm real passionate about, because there's a lot of people that talk about how to make money, but then not what to do with it. And all of a sudden, you're paying too much in taxes, you get sued and lose everything. So how to structure yourself and protect your entities, your assets, and your cash. And then the last thing is how to make money matter. And so instead of conceptually talking about for-purpose brands, actually bringing guys like Adam Braun as one of our speakers, Wes, who is the founder of the nonprofit that's going to benefit. They're both for-purpose companies, as well as myself. That's probably what I'll spend the time talking about, of showing people, hey, let's go get rich and give your money away. No. How to literally build a business around this type of model where at the end of the year, you're making more money. You're not doing it at the cost of money, yet you don't just have a bunch of numbers in a column to celebrate at the end of the year. You have whatever difference of whatever community or cause that resonated with you. And so, and that's why you buy your happiness. So that's what we're going to teach people, is that business strategy of creating a philanthropic or a give aspect, and how it actually can make you as much more, or even if it's less, at least what you did with the money that you would have made was probably way better than the cars you buy yourself.
Oh, heck yeah.
So.
And tell us about the cause. So
Wes Chapman, friend of mine, who I got actually introduced to a few floors above from John Lee Dumas.
Yeah.
And he is the founder of a nonprofit. It's called A Human Project. I don't know if you do show notes or whatever. Maybe you can link it up there.
Yeah.
And basically, Wes has a pretty powerful story where by his 16th birthday, he had been abused in every possible way. Young kids can be abused. He was abandoned by both his parents and was suicidal and just had a gnarly childhood. And then now has started a nonprofit to help kids who are where he was, that are actively abused or have dealt with abuse, who are cutting, who are hurting. It's at-risk teens who are suicidal, or actually even below teens in some cases, but at-risk youth who are suicidal, who are already attempting suicide, who have had failed suicides, who are cutting or whatever, to be empowered to heal, move forward, and crush it. And he's got a pretty cool way of doing that. And he's basically teaching them entrepreneurism as well, to give them an outlet instead of just try to give you therapy and heal, to give them something to go and do with their energy that's positive. And so it's I mean, I guess that was a lot of words, but the summarization is it helps kids who have been abused, who are at risk of wanting to hurt or who are hurting themselves, find a greater purpose and meaning in life to work through it and live powerful adult lives.
Yeah, and so Wes and I, we did I put on a little event that he spoke at where I bought like 100 Kindles and gave them away to foster kids, and his story is incredibly powerful. I mean, it's what he went through, and then in his desire to help these kids. I mean, it's pretty powerful. And from that and his desire, so it's like his background story was his biggest challenge. He turned that into a positive with now helping other kids. Whereas like your background story, I mean, you've had some crazy, near-death experiences. You've turned that, like realized that you had a purpose, focused your life into, making money matter and doing things, whether it be giving back or building the business. And so it's just cool to see how you guys have come together on this. And, it's a great cause. I mean, it's like a noble thing that you guys are doing, because I got to experience, after hanging with Wes and seeing some of the kids and their lives and their stories are, many people take for granted. I mean, everyone has their ups and downs, but when you get to hear some of the stories and get to see how they're living and what they're going through and how, you guys are helping them with that organization, it's so freaking cool. It's amazing. It's going to change a lot of people's lives. I'm going to be there sponsoring, supporting Cole. The event is going to rock. We're going to probably put together like a separate mastermind beforehand. And I just think that, what you saw here today is a guy just going for it. He's got a vision and a dream. He's got faith in God and himself, and he's just going for it. You're letting go of what people are going to think. You're letting go of anything else, and you're saying, I'm just going for it 100%. And if that doesn't inspire you, I don't know what will. That is what a life on fire is about. It's getting attached to a dream and a vision, and then just having the faith that you can do it. You've been walking proof of when you just have the purpose, the how will show up.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage you guys to come to the event, check it out with us. We're going to have, like I said, I'll be putting on like a little private mastermind together, get to hang out. We're going to do something really cool in advance. I want to support Cole. I want to support the event. And we're going to learn a ton. We're going to network with a lot of great people. I want to hang with you. So how do they get in touch? How do they get tickets?
Don'tMissThrive.com is a great place to start. And you're going to have a full-blown booth there as well.
Yep.
So, they'll be easily find you. But Don'tMissThrive.com is probably the easiest way. There's more information. You'll see the full speaker lineup there, since I forgot half of them here. My bad. And then obviously the enrollment process of finding tickets or whatever is on that website as well. A little video about it. And here's one thing, we will for sure sell out, and ticket prices will go up as well. So obviously we're doing the typical early bird specials, and heck, just for people coming from you, we'll create a little promo code Life on Fire. We'll figure out some way to make it even better for them.
We'll sweeten it up. It's gonna be a great time.
So let's make that the promo code Life on Fire.
So don'tmissthrive.com.
Yeah, don'tmissthrive.com.
Promo code Life on Fire, and I'll let you know what the special bonus is, but I'll kick something in and make it make it a nice, something awesome for you guys. So
but
we'll hook it up.
But for sure though, the ticket prices will be reduced for a very short window at the beginning.
Cool. So. I love it. Well, don'tmissthrive.com. Cole, man, I love you, dude.
Thanks for having me, bro.
All right, see you guys.
I'm here to help you set your life on fire.